And we're live. So this is season 2 of the Entrepreneur's Handbook. So if you're not familiar with us, we had a 69 episode first season, which included episodes of the likes of Ev Williams, the founder of Netflix, the founder of Twitter even, and Mark Randolph, the founder of Netflix. And if you haven't seen this before, we haven't done this live before. So this is the first time for me, and hopefully everything is working. We'll find out. So if you are watching this live, let me know, leave a comment so I can see it come up. And I was meant to be recording this earlier, but some genius decided to cut their finger, so had a bit of a delay, but it's all okay now. And with this episode, I'm just going to give you a bit of a background into what's going to be happening and what you can look forward to as well. So in this season, we had a 3-month sabbatical or so, and the idea is like, how can we come back and make it fresh? We were about 70 episodes in and interviewed some great people, but I just wanted to have it more exciting and have more engagement as well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have 2 different types of episodes. On Mondays, it will be me and Stephen Moore. So Stephen Moore is the main guy behind Entrepreneur's Handbook editing side. And what we'll be doing is going over some of the latest news from the last week, and especially over the weekend. So if you're watching this live from the States, if you're in New York, then the episode will be around 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. your time, which means that before you start your working week, you can then check out what's going on and get the updates from us basically while you have your breakfast. If you're in London, you'll be getting it, or in the UK even, you'll be getting it around lunchtime. And if you're in LA, you'll be getting it before you even wake up. But what we'll also be doing is downloading this episode afterwards so that you can listen to it on the podcast version too. And it'll also stay up. There's no sound. Okay, can you hear me okay? So that's all okay. So I just got a comment from somebody saying there's no sound, but it seems all good now. So that's all fine. So as I said, what we'll be doing is that Monday episode. So Stephen Moore, if you're not familiar with him, you should check him out. He's got a newsletter called The Trendmill, and he's quite a skeptic, generally a pessimist. So you'll see his takes a lot on, say, the metaverse, on different trends. And he also takes quite a counter point of view. Whereas on the other hand, I like to talk to different founders, I get lots of different opinions, and I'm probably going to be a bit moderating towards him as well. And occasionally we'll get Dave Schools drop in too. And Dave Schools is the founder of Entrepreneur's Handbook. And he's one that made this all happen, basically, right? So Dave started this, 7 or 8 years ago now. And he's now the VP of multi-product growth at Hopin. So if you haven't heard of Hopin, they went from 0 to 8 billion in 2 years during the pandemic. And now they've got a full suite of products. And what I'm using to record this right now is StreamYard, and Hopin owns StreamYard. So he's got the huge venture scale background. Stephen Moore has got that writer's background, which is a lot to do with tech analysis, tech journalism. Whereas my background is more to do with now the startup space, where I've interviewed nearly 200 entrepreneurs. I've got my own not-for-profit as well called the Bay HQ, which focuses on British Asians. And that's all kind of running now. So what I'll also do as well is, because it is live, we'll get our friends to jump on. So if you're in the comments right now and you can listen to this, then what you can do too is let us know if you want to jump on, if it's a topic you're particularly interested in about, and we can try and get you on stage too. So at the moment, it's just me on, but next week it will be Stephen too, and it'll be a lot easier for us to manage the comments and what's going on live as well. And the second episode each week will be on Thursdays, and that will be with an expert in a particular area. So the core thesis of Entrepreneur's Handbook is people with practical experience who are actually doing what they said they're talking about, rather than just people saying like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. It's people who've been there, done it, and giving you their lessons. And with the last season, it was mainly story-based, right? So if you listen to the last season, you'd hear like what made you get into entrepreneurship and go through people's journeys, which is really interesting. But what we're going to do for this season is more sharper, where it's half-an-hour episodes. Here's the topic. This person's an expert in this area, and we're going to dive really deep into it. So I've got a list of people who are going to come on soon. So I don't want to reveal that yet, because you never know when bookings are pushed back. I've made the mistake in the past where I say, oh, we've got this person coming on, and then they cancel, they get postponed, or this happens, whatever happens, and then it doesn't happen. But that's a general idea. Monday mornings, if you're in America, will be news kind of oriented episode. It'll be me and Stephen most of the time, and we'll also have other people joining, such as Dave. And then the first episode will be with an expert in a particular area, and as well, let us know what areas you're particularly interested in. What's the biggest struggles you have as an entrepreneur? or what's stopping you from having your business get to where you want it to be. And we'll get experts on in that area, and those will be pre-recorded to begin with, but as we go further on, we'll get those live too, and you can give your questions directly to those experts and get that information shared out. So that's the main updates about what's been going on with the Entrepreneur's Handbook this season. And I'll give you a bit of updates about what's been happening too. So Entrepreneur's Handbook, if you don't know, is the official startup publication of Medium. And for years now, we've been that source of information where we're sharing in a written publication, in a blog format, some of these amazing lessons from different founders from all across the world. And Stephen Moore at the moment is the main editor on that. So it's now 3 years ago that I became the editor there in June 2020. And my job was to try to take hundreds of stories that were submitted each week and pick out the best ones that would be most useful for our readers. I was doing that for a while with Michael Thompson. And then later on, Michael Thompson dropped out because he's really busy with his own stuff. And then Stephen Moore came on board. And now Stephen Moore runs all himself. But if you're not familiar with that, make sure to check that out. So it's entrepreneurshandbook.co. And you can see all the latest advice, all about entrepreneurship from different people. So make sure you check that out. That's all Stephen's domain. And Stephen's also joining us for the podcast. And I'm now mainly focused on the podcast. And I've got my own things going on too. So my main thing I'm working at the moment right now is the Bay HQ. And the Bay HQ stands for the British Asian Entrepreneur HQ. And what I'm doing is taking all these lessons I've learned from stateside and applying them to my community and trying to help the people up there. And if you listen to the last episode of last season, you'll understand why I'm doing that. So I had a big personal update where in the summer last year, things changed significantly with a family member passing away. And that changed my outlook on life and the way I do different things. And that's why I've kind of come more into the UK based and doing that too. But I miss this side too, right? I miss being able to chat to people from all across the world and share their lessons. And it's been really exciting for me because I've been able to talk to such incredible people. And there's the people who headline look amazing, right? So Ev Williams, like I mentioned earlier, and Mark Randolph are two that stand out. But there's so many people who've got these businesses that have done incredibly well and come from such varied backgrounds. So off the top of my head, there's somebody called Lloyd Lobo, who was on last season, who was a refugee who escaped war when he was a kid. And then he moved over to the States, built his own massive company, raised it for 100 million, sold that company, exited that company, and now has got a massive community of entrepreneurs. And what we're going to be doing too is get people on from previous seasons and dive deep into particular lessons that they have. So if you've listened to the previous episodes from last season, let us know who your favorite guests are, and we'll get them back on again too. And likewise, if you've got anybody who we haven't interviewed yet, who you think we should, send us an email, get that message across, and we'll try to get them on. So didn't overly plan this episode, so I haven't got too much more to say. It's more to just get everybody on board, just to know everybody what's happening, and hopefully chat to you soon. So keep an eye out. So it'll be Mondays at either 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. Eastern time, which is midday or 1 p.m. UK time, and it'll be early morning in LA if you're going to watch it live. But you'll be able to watch it. We will stay up on YouTube afterwards, and you'll also be able to listen to it through Apple and Spotify too with the audio. That's all from me.